Aaron Brown here out of San Antonio. Good afternoon. This is Aaron Brown here out of San Antonio, Texas. I am a realtor of a little over 14 years and host of Realty Success Hub and podcast. Couple quick things about me. I have a huge passion for water sports and anything adventurous. Love helping families in real estate. We've got some phenomenal people here today on our show who I would love to introduce you to. Angela, maybe you could start and tell us a little bit about yourself and something fun about you that maybe no one knows.
Well, thank you so much, Aaron. I'm super excited to be here on the show today, and thank you guys for joining us. I am Angela Brown. I have been in the cleaning industry for 32 years. I'm the host of the Ask a House Cleaner podcast and YouTube show. And we are exploring a whole bunch of ideas today on this show about spring cleaning and some of the things that we're going to do to get our homes ready. We had a special guest that was going to join us today, and then at the last minute couldn't make it. So we're going to talk about spring cleaning, which I know is on everyone's mind. And it's on my mind especially because one of the fun things about me is my husband and I are looking at some real estate right now. We may move. And so all of the stuff that you do to get your house ready, especially during a deep clean, is on the front of my mind because now I got to do it all with my own house. So woohoo! I'm super excited to join you today. And back to you, Aaron.
Thank you so much, Angela, for that introduction. Brooke Bryant we have from Charlotte. Brooke, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. My name is Brooke Bryant. I'm a realtor in the Charlotte area. I've been in real estate for about 12 years now, and I have a passion for working with first-time home buyers. As a matter of fact, I'm working on a book to help first-time home buyers through that process. And so I'm really excited to talk with you guys about spring cleaning, some great tips that I can pass along to my clients, and just get people invested in their homes and rolling up their sleeves and enjoying the spring and their homes. And so I'm excited to see what we learned today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Brooke. And I've got Regina Brown here. And Regina, maybe you could introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you as well.
Indeed. So again, as he says, I'm Regina Brown from San Antonio, Texas. I've been a realtor here in San Antonio for the past 7 years. I absolutely love what I do. We help people buy and sell all of the time. Couple of fun things about myself. I love live music. I love adventuring outdoors, dancing. So anytime people want to get out and do anything fun, I'm the girl. No matter what we're doing work-wise, we're having fun at the same time. So
I want to give you a big shout out for having fun, and also I want to give Big B a shout out. Big B is on our call today and says, "Can I get a big shout out?" So Big B, here's your shout out. We're so glad that you're here.
Big B.
Woo! Woo! Well, we're going to jump right into this. Again, anybody who has questions, please jump in. Feel free to ask. We have a live chat going, and we'll try to get to those questions as we can. We're going to jump in today and talk about some of the things that you can do to prep your house to get it ready for spring. A lot of those things have to do with cleaning, and it's also why we have the cleaning expert on today. So we'll jump right into it. We've got a couple of questions that have been asked from clients, and we'll jump right into that. Actually, Angela, I know that there was a couple of questions that some people had asked. Do you want to start with that?
I do. Chris says, what do you do when there's too much cleaning equipment and cleaners to carry from the car? And I love this question because if you have not consolidated your cleaning supplies, if you are a professional cleaner and you're going in and out of people's homes, the rule of thumb is whatever you can carry in your two hands. The two hands that God gave you, that's what you carry your stuff in with. If you're making 6 and 7 trips into the customer's house, that's a lot of stuff to carry in, and it's a lot of stuff to carry out. And just think that if it's a 2-story home, you're carrying all that stuff up and down the stairs, and it's going to be scattered all over the house. So consolidate your cleaning supplies. I think there is a tendency to go up and down the grocery store aisles, and you see all the cleaning supplies, and you get really excited about it. And you're like, oh, I need one of all those things. You really don't. If you'll carry a consolidated container, and I use a bucket, which is a mop bucket, back from the olden days when we used mop buckets. And I put all of my cloths in there so that I've got my cleaning cloths and my steamer. And then in the other hand, I have my cleaning caddy that has all of my cleaning supplies. So I've got my supplies and I have my cloths, okay? And then I do not use my own vacuum. I use the customer's vacuum, especially since COVID. I know lots of people are very concerned about cross-contamination. And if you're using a vacuum and you're running it all over the floors of someone's home and they've got 5 dogs, and then you take that vacuum into someone else's home and they don't have any dogs or pets at all, you're cross-contaminating with the dog hair that's and the pet dander that's on the bottom of your vacuum. In most cases, there's not enough time to sanitize the entire vacuum from top to bottom between houses. So when we pick up a new account, we encourage them to buy a vacuum if they don't have a good vacuum. And then we use the customer's vacuum. We've trained all of the people on our staff to do a 360 walk around of the vacuum when they're done. They check the vacuum to make sure that all of the attachments and the airtight seals are in place, that the prongs on the vacuum are still in place and that they haven't been bent by ripping them out, across the room. I know you guys don't do that, do you? You take it out at the plug. That's how you're supposed to.
Of course.
We empty the customer's vacuum and then we wipe it down with a wet wipe to sanitize that, and we leave it at the customer's house. So what if you're carrying too much in and out of a customer's house, you're carrying too much. So consolidate it and narrow it down. What do you need for this job? And it's the reason that we do inventory at the end of every day. You bring in your cleaning supplies, you fill everything up, you wipe everything down, you sanitize it, you get it ready for the next job. When you get to the next house, you have only what you need for that job. I've got 2 sets of cleaning caddies for 2 houses during the day. And when I get back to my car after one job, I put that cleaning caddy in the car and I grab the next one for the next customer. That way there's no cross-contamination. What was in this customer's house did not go to the next customer's house. And I'm not standing out there in the driveway like mixing chemicals and filling up and topping off my jars and all that stuff. So there's no cross-contamination because you consolidated and you planned ahead. And so my suggestion would be really think through your process if you're carting in 3 and 4 trips worth of things.
Could you also give us a quick suggestion on what type of vacuum? Are one of those $150 vacuums from Walmart okay, or do we need like an expensive, crazy one?
There are some really, really great vacuums on the market, and they range in price from $65 to $500. And there might be more expensive and there might be less expensive. But that's the general range. And I say the general range because they're really good vacuums. And it's going to come down to the homeowner. And as a professional house cleaner, we're flexible enough. We use lots of vacuums. And I know this is going to surprise you guys. Like, don't tell anyone. But I can vacuum a floor with pretty much any vacuum. And so if it gives me a vacuum, I'm smart enough to know what to do with that. I know. That's that's how it works. But if the customer has a really good vacuum that does do suction and it's going to pick the stuff up off their carpets and their hardwood floors, that's great. We can make it work. And we're only going to use it for a couple of hours while we're at the customer's house. So if I totally hate your vacuum, that's okay as long as it works. Then when I go to the next customer's house, they might have a better vacuum. And lots of people that have old vacuums, like an old Kirby or something, that's really heavy and it hardly picks up anymore. You might consider investing in a new vacuum, right? Because the house cleaners that are going to come to your house are going to use your vacuum every single time, and then you get to use it between the times that they come. So I encourage you, if you have an old beat up vacuum that you've had for 40 years, retire it, let it go, and get something modern. It can cost, like I said, $100. It can cost $200. As the homeowner, you get to decide. So pick a vacuum that you love. And my suggestion is pick one that has a good hose on it so that you can use the crevice tool around between the sofas of the couch, underneath the couch, around little hard to get areas, around the area where the wall meets the carpet. You can get in all those nooks and crannies. And then if you like, there are areas like this little tiny area that's on the side of your washing machine where like the lint and stuff falls down. You can like slide it back there and vacuum that up. The little area between your refrigerator and the wall, you can slide it back there. It's really great. So make sure it has a hose. And then a lot of homes have either luxury vinyl plank flooring or hardwood flooring. And so if there's a vacuum attachment, that's usually a lightweight vacuum attachment with a flat floor plate. It doesn't have a rough beater bar that's going to knock up your floor, but that's really great for hardwood and solid surface floors. And then you can get like underneath the sofas and underneath the chairs. It's amazing what you can do with these modern vacuums.
Love it. Thank you so much. Maybe you could provide a link for us for your favorite for any of us that are shopping for our next vacuum.
I did not know you were going to ask me of this. So yes, I'm going to make notes as we go. And then that way I will put links in the replay after we're done here. And that way I'll add links for the vacuums.
Fantastic. Okay. Hey, when it comes to air filters, I know that a lot of people skip on this. They don't replace them often. More often than not, when I'm walking through homes, the air filters are black. And most people don't even know where most of their air filters are. Does anybody have any suggestions on how we can encourage people on spring cleaning to get those filters replaced, where they can find good filters, and where they can find them in their house if they don't know where they're at?
Well, most filters you can find, you can order online and everything can come to you. There are even companies that will set you up on a schedule and come to your home and change your filters. So you don't have to inventory them at your home. You don't have to locate them. You don't have to remember to do it. And it's just done for you. And it is so important to change your filters. Not only is it great for the health of your HVAC system, but right now in the spring, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. The pollen here is crazy. I don't know if you guys have crazy pollen in Texas. Everything is yellow. My car used to be white, not anymore. And those, if changing your filters, that's going to help reduce the allergens in your home. And so many people here are suffering with really severe allergies this spring. And that is, and you can get upgraded filters for your home to help reduce some of the allergens that get in there. So, tips on how to do it: just locate, find the size, keep it in your phone, keep it somewhere where you can keep it on a keep file where you know the size, or just set it up on automatic delivery. If you do some online shopping, set them up to be delivered automatically. That way you don't have to remember the size. And it's just one of those things that you need to do seasonally, just to help preserve the life of your HVAC system. It's so important for that. And it's going to help reduce the allergens in your home.
How often, if you have pets and or smoke, should you be replacing filters?
Angela, that's probably a great you question. Yeah, that is a great question. And typically it depends on the MERV rating. And the MERV rating it goes on a scale of 1 to 13. Typically, that's going to be your average. It does go as high as 17, but that's going to be for like hospital rooms. And so if you have one that's really almost transparent and see-through, like those skinny builders ones that come when you first get a house, those are like at the very low end of the scale, and they're not going to pick up much stuff. The more dense they are, and you'll usually see there's like a little accordion pattern, and it's covered with metal, and that holds all the stuff in. And what that means is it's going to trap a lot of stuff in there. Okay. So the average MERV rating for an air filter is going to be between 9 and 12. And that's really great. That's going to last you 2 or 3 months. But if you have a lot of pets or you have a lot of dust, like if you live in Las Vegas, for example, or Utah, where they've got those big sand storms that come through, you open the door and there's a lot of dust that blows in. You may want to change it even as often as every month and a half. Now, I know that Brooke mentioned that there are a lot of companies that do this for you, where they will put it on a tickler file and they will come back and do that. I know that as a professional house cleaner, we have an upsell package where it's little home maintenance things like changing the toilet flapper and the batteries for your carbon monoxide filters and your air filters and things like that. But you have a house cleaner that's inside the house on a regular basis every couple of weeks. So they can do that as well. And they can also take measurements and then just make that part of the order. Then when they come to clean the house on that particular time, they're going to replace that stuff. It's just part of the standard operating procedure. And where you have a lot of, let's say, elder people that either are not good at remembering or they just don't want to fuss with it, that's a great upsell package where you have a house cleaner that just brings that with them. And now I'm going to go back to where you got to make extra trips in from your car unless you have them drop shipped to that customer's house. And lots of people buy their own filters or have them drop shipped and you just install them when you're there. So it just depends on how you do that. But you just make a note, and then depending on the lifestyle of the family. And if you're cleaning every week or couple weeks and you're at a customer's house and you see that they're starting to get icky, you might have to up it and just say, hey, your filters are already black again. Let's go ahead and replace those. So depending on the lifestyle of the family, you may want to change it a little bit more frequently. But that way it will prevent every time the air blows in and out, you're not going to get anything that goes on either side of that. It's just going to trap and lock it. So that's the goal.
And I'll add to that, Aaron, you guys, I'm sure, do a lot of work in new construction areas. There's so much dust in new construction. So that first year they're in the home, they're probably going to need to change their filters more often than, as construction's completed.
So Kaylee says, I generally change the air filters at least twice a year, but ideally every 3 months, every seasonal change. And that would be for a person that doesn't have any pets. And so that's if you've got a really high MERV rating and you've got a great air filter, you may be able to go that long. I think typically it's every couple of months, and then more frequently if you have pets or you have dust or severe, like right now, pollen. We're telling all of our customers, close the windows, because if the pollen gets inside, it's just like this yellow gold film. It gets on your computer keyboards and your computer screens and your remote controls, and it's just like sticky and icky.
Yeah.
Don't do it. All of you guys close your windows.
So
It's such a shame. The weather's so nice. You want to keep your windows open, but you got to keep that pollen out.
I know that air filters help a lot in keeping down the dust. Like in my house, for example, it still gets really dusty either way. How do I cut down on some of that dust, and what do I do so that the house looks and feels clean when I have people over? It seems like there's a film of dust on everything all of the time anyway.
Is that a question for me?
Not for me.
Dust is ever surrounding us. It really depends on your lifestyle. If you keep the windows and the doors open, it's easy to have stuff blow in. We had a customer that loved keeping the doors and the windows open. And every time we'd go to her house, there were literally leaves and grass clippings in her house on her oriental rugs. And we're like, please close your doors because it blows in and there were no screens. But if you have just a constant thing of dust, you do want to keep the air filters changed. You might consider the carpet and the fabrics in your home. If you're wall-to-wall carpets and fabrics, it's going to trap a lot of that stuff. When the air kicks on, it's possible it kicks that up. If you have a lot of foot traffic, it's going to kick that up, which is where our baseboards or our skirting boards get dusty. And so if there's a lot of traffic, I know my home gets a lot of traffic. I've got employees that come to the house every day. And so there's a lot of traffic coming and going, and the doors opening and closing, and we get a lot of dust. It just has to be cleaned on a regular basis. But some areas have more dust than others. So you try to stay on top of it and try to keep the windows and doors closed and replace the air filters and make sure you've got a good vacuum that doesn't blow dust back out the other side. Somebody on here said, don't buy a vacuum under $100. I did not miss that comment. And I say that they come in all prices, but one of the under the $100 vacuum is probably one of those that kicks the dust back the other side, vacuums it in this way, kicks it out the back.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And I can just use a wet cloth to capture some of that dust on shelving, etc.
You can use a microfiber cloth because that's really great with it traps the dust. I'm a really big fan of the Swiffer dusters because they have trap and lock technology, and that's patented by Swiffer. And with Swiffer, it is a disposable head that goes on the duster. I usually have one in my back pocket, and I don't at this moment. I'm feeling really naked now that you mention it. Like, well, where's the duster? But it's really great for just regular maintenance. And so homeowners and professionals use them alike, and it traps all the dust. And then when you're done, you've got this really nasty, icky duster head, and you can just peel it off and put it inside the trash, and you're good to go.
And another thing, Aaron, to help with dust, if you keep your ceiling fans clean. I'm sure you go into some homes and you look at those ceiling fans and it's scary, right? Some of the ceiling fans, we see all of the dust build up on those, and those are spinning all that dust around. So I think that would be another good way to.
I wonder if we could attach a Swiffer duster to the fan blades.
Just catch it in the air as it spins.
So it catches the dust.
That's the next invention. Maybe someone will contact me and they will let me test that out.
Well, we were out the other day. I know Regina ran into this issue where there was the closets were basically pouring out into the bedrooms. How could we encourage people or talk to people about kind of closet maintenance?
Organization, decluttering, anything closet related. Helping people prep and sell for their homes. Closet organization is something we run into, or a lack thereof, is something we run into very, very regularly. What are some good tips or tricks?
Well, and what Regina ran into the other day is she opened the master closet, and it was basically piles that were from the master closet out into the bedroom onto the bed. And so.
Well, spring is such a great time to deal with that, right? The spring cleaning and to thin those things out. So I'm sure, Angela, you've got some great organizational tips. But yeah, springtime and getting your home ready to sell, I mean, those just go hand in hand.
From a realtor perspective, I just tell people like that, like, hey, you got to get rid of all of that. And they look at me like I'm crazy. Maybe you guys have some better suggestions.
Well, it's a little bit different with cleaning than it is with the realty industry, because when a realtor comes to a house, it's usually because there's a buy or a sell transaction happening. And so if that's the case, there's more of an incentive to clean than somebody that just needs to tidy up. I'm not offended, but I'm very aware that a lot of the people that I get to work with are not going to have, when we're finished with their home, they're not going to have what we call a Pinterest looking closet. And if I could share an image with you, many people will strive for perfectionism. And so this is, everything is color coded and everything is in a special box and everything looks really pretty and everything is manageable. And this does not look like my house or most of the people that I get to work with. Our homes do not look like this. Our homes are really practical. And if I have a choice of fighting for practicality over perfectionism, I think that's really a key. What we're looking at here is we're looking at a practical closet. And I love this practical closet because what this does is this takes space. There weren't enough shelves in here. So this is a freestanding shelf that was bought at Home Depot or Costco or something. And on it are clear stackable bins. And the clear stackable bins are not Pinterest worthy. This is not glamorous. Nobody's going to win any awards for this closet. But the nice thing about this closet is when you do a load of laundry, you open all the tops of the bins there, and the bins keep the dust out of your clothing. So I think that's effective, and that removes some of the dust that we were talking about earlier. And then also you take the laundry basket, and in one bin you put all of the underwear, in the next one you put all of the socks, in the next one you put whatever it is, and you just go room by room to each person's closet in the house until the laundry bin is empty. And so the laundry never made a pile anywhere because you went right from the laundry basket into the individual little bins. And so with a bin of socks, they're not matched, they're not folded pretty, they're not rolled up, they're not in a little special box, they're not in a drawer, they're not anything, they're just right there on the shelf. So when you look at this, what you're looking at is inventory. So when the socks start to get near the bottom, you're like, oh, I got to do laundry. Like I can see my socks are running out. Oh, look, I see the underwears are running out. I mean, it's a visual right up front at what's going on. And then you can see the clothes that you have right there and the shoes that you have right there, and everything has a place. So if you talk about clothes and stuff that are, and I didn't mean to hog the screen here, but we do the same thing inside people's kitchens when it comes to pantries. So here's a pantry. This is not a glamorous pantry at all. But if you look back there to the back and the shelf 2 and 3 in the far right, not the far right corner, but right there in the center, what you're looking at is a bunch of stackable, like Tupperware container. And in those boxes that are there on the bottom shelf to the left are all of the lids. And so this is not, again, it's not Pinterest. It's not beautiful. Nobody's going to win any awards for this. On the right shelf, you see a bunch of recycled containers that at one point had fun treats in them. And now they have things like rice and beans and noodles and, not so glamorous, but it's airtight and it keeps rodents and mice away. So our goal is not to be so much, does it look glamorous and is it pretty as much as it is it functional and is it practical? And so our goal, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Nobody's ever come to my house before, knocked on my door and said, hey, I'd like to come in and check out your closets. Let's see how they look. Nobody's ever done that.
You haven't had me over recently.
You're going to inspect it. Nobody's inspecting my closets, and nobody's giving me any awards for one way or the other, right? And that's true for most families. So unless you have a reason to post your closets and pantries and stuff on Pinterest, practical, just be practical and try to have something that's functional that everyone in the family can use. Like if you have, let's say, a room for the boys in your house or the room for the girls, if they're all sharing clothes with each other, is it functional and can they all find the stuff that they need? And if the answer is yes, then yay. My mom had a great suggestion because there were lots of us kids at home wearing the same clothes at the same time. And so she would buy like black tube socks and they would go through the wash and they would go right into a black tube sock bin. And then anybody that needed a pair of socks for the day went in and they were all the same size. Just pick out a pair of socks and you can pick out 2 of them. You got 2 feet, there you go. And then we had a clothesline and all the clothes would go through the wash and they would get hung up on the clothesline. And then whoever needed a shirt for the day, they would go out and they would pick a shirt and they go, hey, that's about my size. I think I'll wear it, you know? So functional is the key, and it's going to prevent the need for guilt and shame of people that don't have a Pinterest looking pantry and they're shamed by stuff they see on social media. When we're talking about spring cleaning and organizing and decluttering, go for practicality. Go for something that, and I hate this. I don't mean to get off on a rant. Let me rant for a second. Can I rant for a second, you guys?
Please bring it on.
I have seen like shows on TV and stuff where they hire really expensive organizers and professional cleaners that come into the home and they color coordinate everything. Like all the blue stuff here and all the yellow stuff here. I'm like, what the heck? Because all the yellow stuff is there, and yes, it's pretty, but you got a whole bunch of mismatched stuff, pants, shirts, handbags, whatever, and it's all yellow. Now you got a whole bunch of stuff in weird, odd places. And now you got all the blue stuff that's all in weird places, but it's all blue. Okay, well, the reality is most people don't shop by color. They shop by items. I need a shirt for the day. I need a pair of pants. I need it. You know what I mean? And so, yes, it's
Right.
true. You can go through all of those things, but sooner or later, all that stuff gets unraveled and it never makes its way back to looking pretty and organized. And those drawers, if I could go back to that one scene where the drawer has the, I don't know what this is, like everything is all pretty and folded nicely and everything. That's going to work for a minute. I mean, for a minute, like until the professional organizer leaves the house. And once you start unraveling stuff, when are you going to find the time to roll it all up and put it all back?
I think that's such great advice from a cleaning perspective and from a just a homeowner's perspective. And I think things like spring cleaning, fall cleaning, they're so important for people just not to get overwhelmed. So if it's something that's practical and manageable, that's going to help you enjoy your home more, I think that's so important rather than to strive for something that's just so far out of reach. But just keeping things in a manageable way, like every spring, if I do these 3 things, then I'm not getting to a point where I feel like I have to do everything. If you're spreading these tasks out over the year, or if you're taking on projects and keeping them manageable and sustainable and real and practical, I think that's such great advice.
I love the idea of the plastic see-through containers.
Yeah.
They're a really easy way to organize things. And I never thought of putting all of your lids in a box. That is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought you put them in a cupboard and tried to close the door without them falling out. And then whenever you needed them, open the cupboard and caught the lids. And so
It's really awesome stuff on TikTok.
I'll be
where
implementing.
people- I've seen some awesome stuff on TikTok where people have like their 4 lids and they're all like neatly stacked in this little lid thing. And I'm like, 4 lids? Who has 4 lids? You know what I mean?
You have 400 and they just, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And none of them fit anything.
No, that's the other thing.
Nothing fits
That's
anything.
why they always fall out into your arms, and then you try to figure out which one goes with what. So I
Right.
love
Like, okay, I'll put it in a baggie.
I know that in my house, speaking of lids, and this is a sidebar, but in my house, we use a lot of the little 4-ounce containers and the 8-ounce containers for our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so we have a drawer only for the 4-ounce and the 8-ounce lids. That's it. And they're mixed match. They're not separated like the 4-ounce and the 8-ounce. I mean, we're not that, but they're all just in the same drawer. And so that is separate from everything else that we have. And so it's never, are there any other lids of any other sizes? Only the little lids are inside that drawer. So whenever we wash them and they go through the dishwasher, or we rinse, wash them up by hand or whatever, all the lids always go back in the same place. And that way everybody in the house knows where to look for those lids if we need them. And so it removes all the guesswork, and we're not sorting through other lids that we use on a whole lot less seldom basis. So again, you have to stack your house and your closets according to your own personal desires and your own personal needs. But if it's effective for you, and then everyone in the house knows where that particular item is kept, then it becomes habitual that everybody puts it back where it goes. Now, my mother, love my mother, but when she comes to visit my house, she puts them back where she thinks they go. And I can never find them. And I got to call her. And 6 months later, she'll go, oh, if you go to the third cupboard over to the right, and she knows exactly where she put it. But in her mind, that's where she was going to put it. It makes no sense to me because that's not where we keep the stuff. But if everybody in the house knows, then you're good.
Hey, speaking of food containers, as far as spring cleaning, let's talk about appliances for just a minute. It seems like people only think about cleaning their appliances for the most part when things light on fire. Like food, for example. Can we talk about that for just a minute and how to keep that kind of maintenance throughout the year? How often should you clean a stove? And is that just a job for a house cleaner? Or can the average person clean the stove without lighting the house on fire?
Are you talking about the stove or the oven?
That is exactly how much I know about it.
All right, so the stove, and this is really awesome. Many people have these stoves, like old-fashioned stoves that have like the burners on them. And most people don't know this, but if you lift up the lid, you're like, no, my stove doesn't have a lid. It does. It actually has a lid, and you can lift that up, and underneath there are all the crumbs and everything. And that's what's causing the fires in a lot of cases. And a lot of the burners have little burner covers. And some people will actually put like aluminum foil around there to kind of couch those, catch anything that falls. But there are some silicone versions of that are real easy, that are dishwasher safe. And so that will prevent anything that has dropped down there. It's going to catch those. You empty those in the trash and then wash the liners out in the dishwasher. That way there's no food that can catch on fire. I would recommend at least 4 times a year that we open up the lid of that. And there's like when you open up the hood of the car and there's like this little stick that you put down in the car that holds the door up. The stove has the same thing. And so it will hold your stove up, and you can actually grab a vacuum and vacuum out all the crumbs and all the dropped cheese and all that stuff that's fallen in the stove that causes the fires. You can clean all of that out. That's typically done on a deep clean, and we do deep cleans 4 times a year in the professional cleaning industry. So I would recommend it at least that.
Just about? That has a lid?
You what?
I said, this is any stove that has a lid, or some stoves, or
the stoves that have the burners. The stoves that have the burners in them. Now, if it's a flat cooktop, well, there's nothing to drop. Okay, it already dropped. It's like a glass or a ceramic stovetop.
But they have those liners for ovens too.
Yeah.
Which is great. I love those oven liners because it makes it so much easier to clean spills that happen in your oven or crumbs that fall down. You just get it, put it in the trash, dump it out, put it in the dishwasher, and it's reusable. Those are great.
Well, it says wipe stove after each meal prep, and that's the correct answer. If you clean it as you go, you don't have cheese and treats and things that have dropped down there. And Patricia is laughing at us. She's like, there's tears in the eyes, and I think that's pretty awesome. Clean while you cook is the true home training rule. Things are easier to clean soon after use instead of waiting hours or days. Wipe things down regularly. And that's Kaylee. And Kaylee, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. If you clean it as you go, you don't have any buildup. And like what Brooke said, those oven liners are made of fiberglass or Teflon. They have silicone ones as well. They go up to 500 degrees. Most people cook between 350 and 400. So if you'll put that right at the bottom of a clean oven, anytime you cook like a blueberry pie and the stuff oozes out onto the bottom and it stinks up the house, you just grab that. That's how we do. Like this means oozing.
Or a frozen pizza.
Or a frozen pizza, yes. Then you just pull out the liner. You do like this over the garbage can, and it loosens all the stuff up, and that goes right into the trash. You can grab a microfiber cloth and wipe that thing off and put it right back inside the oven. If it's really nasty, put it on the top shelf of the dishwasher, and you can run it on a cycle. Again, it goes up to 500 degrees heat, so it's dishwasher safe as well.
And there are also silicone mats that you can put in your microwave. Erin, you may be more familiar with your microwave. than a stove or oven, but you put it in your microwave and it catches all those spills. Throw that in the dishwasher, and then you can also use it to help carry that hot container out of the microwave. So that's a great, makes it easier.
Super smart.
Cleanup item too.
One thing that
I'm sorry, go ahead.
One thing that Brooke didn't mention is those flexible silicone microwave liners that keep your plate from slipping can also be used as a lid on containers that don't have a lid. And that way it keeps from splashing all over the sides and the walls and the ceiling of your microwave.
Great tip.
Love that. As far as other appliances, when I talk to clients, often they'll say things like, I'll clean my fridge when the funk smell gets so bad that it smells like a dead kid. And what is the recommendation for how often like a fridge should be cleaned, or maybe a dishwasher? Most dishwashers clean themselves when you run the dishwasher.
I'll jump in, Angela, before you talk about the cleaning side of it. So my trash day is trash pickup day is on Friday. So every Thursday I go through my refrigerator and throw out whatever leftovers that I swore we were going to eat this week that we didn't. I'll do all that on a weekly basis. And I started that because my father-in-law, who is 87 years old, keeps things in his refrigerator until it smells like the dead kitten. And I saw him eating something that he should not have eaten. And so I started that practice with him. Like, no, that's old, that's expired. You can't eat that. You need to clean your refrigerator out every week and get rid of those expired foods. So then I thought, that's a good practice to get into. So that's just a tip.
This explains the weekly casserole growing up then.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've noticed that there are stores that serve and sell items, and then like they also have like a freezer container version of the same thing. And I'm thinking, oh, the broccoli was like on its, they did not sell it all, so they chopped it up and they hurried and they froze it so that they could sell it as a frozen item as well, still get their money's worth out of it. So yeah, that works as well.
My father did a lot of composting through the years, and it seemed like a lot of food scraps always went in the compost. So just for anybody who can do that, that'd be a good idea as well.
Cynthia says, everybody please compost. She just cut your vibe.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Well, so many people are doing the container gardens now, or the raised bed gardens. There's so much more home gardening now. So that's a great to compost.
So Ola says, seeing kitchen messes for 30 years of being a cleaning lady makes me not eat others' food. And so you may want to hire her because she's not going to eat your food. No, I do think going back to what Kaylee said a minute ago about clean it as you go. If you're getting something out of the refrigerator, just do a quick inventory, take a look and see what's there. And if you have something that you know is there that hasn't been eaten in a while, why are you leaving it there? If you're not going to eat it, go ahead and pull it out and process it, get rid of it or compost it or something. There's no need to let mold grow on food just because you didn't eat it. Like if it has mold on it now, you're not going to eat it later. There's no need to leave it there. Get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, good tip.
As far as spring cleaning, I'm usually the person that's outside working on the outside stuff. Is there anything else that you guys might recommend to people on the interior of the home that they should look out for, during spring cleaning that they shouldn't miss? Things that they, general maintenance type things. Any of you would recommend?
Oh, spring cleaning, and I'll take this one. Spring cleaning is a great word for deep cleaning, because on a deep clean, which we do 4 times a year, we're going to go through a lot of areas of the home that don't get cleaned at other times of the year. And seasonally, they're like, for example, where I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, the spiders will come in. I don't know how they get in, but they come in when it gets really, really hot outside and they're looking for a cooler place, or when it gets really, really cold outside and they're looking for a warmer place to kind of regulate their temperatures. And so you get cobwebs at a couple times a year, and it's like you go to one house, it's immaculate, and you see cobwebs. Then like the very next house has a bunch of cobwebs. Then the very next house have cobwebs. It's kind of seasonal. And so we set up our deep cleanings for those times of the year, because we don't do cobweb cleaning at every clean. It just doesn't happen, nor is it needed. And so we put those deep cleanings at 4 times a year so that we cover all the different areas of the house kind of on a rotating basis. And so there are a lot of things that we do in a deep clean that is going to cover the high areas of the room. And it's going to get rid of all of the cobwebs and dust that's on higher areas, like the entrance ledge of the great big window at the front of your home. That may not get cleaned in every clean because it's just not necessary, but it does need it more than twice a year or once a year when people do spring cleaning. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also with that spring cleaning being a deep clean, sometimes, like when you're cleaning, when you're doing a deep clean on your kitchen and you actually take everything off of your counter, it's a good time to see if you need to work on the caulk. Is the caulking cracked? So it's a great time to do projects like that. That it's not a big project, but it's not something you're going to do every, so while everything's off, look for things like that. If there's a good chance for you to do the caulking. Same thing for the bathrooms and the showers. While you're in there and you're doing like a big deep clean on your grout, see if your showers or tubs need to be recaulked.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Also, as a realtor, I'm in and out of homes all day, every day. And some things that I notice that get overlooked a lot of the time are light switches, doors, doorknobs. We touch them all. I get to touch them all in every home. And they're vastly overlooked. Keypads, they're vastly overlooked and very, very dirty by and large. What's kind of a safe way to clean those, or a most sanitary way?
Well, the 6-panel doors are easily overlooked and they can be dusted on a regular clean, but it depends on your house. I know that my house has 26 6-panel doors inside my house. And so that's 2 sides of the door. So that's not going to get cleaned every week, but every couple of weeks, or at least 4 times a year on a deep clean, where you go around every one of those little panels, nooks and crannies, you get rid of all the dust and then all the stuff that builds up in the corner. And I say in the corner because I live in North Carolina, there's a lot of humidity in the air. So if dust gets in your house just by opening the doors and what have you, if that's not dusted on a regular basis, the first time humidity hits that, now that's stuck in those little tiny crevices on all of your 26-panel doors on both sides of your doors. So that needs to be cleaned. And like you said, 2 feet above the doorknob and 2 feet below the doorknob, when people are either kicking the door with their foot to close the door, or they're like grabbing the side of the door to close it instead of using the doorknob. Fingerprints, especially if people have like food in their hands and they're going into the media room from the kitchen or something like that. Lots of doors, bathroom doors, they have lots of fingerprints on that area that's 2 feet above and 2 feet below the door. So at all times, we want to use either a degreaser or an all-purpose cleaner to get that area. I know Autoban has a really great disinfecting product that we use for sanitizing. It's great for doorknobs. It's great for light switches. It's great for all of those high-touch areas.
Can you say that again? What's the name of it?
Autoban?
Autoban?
Yeah, it's an amazing product. It's like the most underrated product ever. It's been on the market for about 30 years, and they're lousy at marketing, but they're fantastic at producing products.
It's safe on wood, safe on paint.
No, not straight out of the container. We actually buy it by the gallon, and it has dilution ratios. And so as professional cleaning companies, we dilute it as an all-purpose cleaner because no need to use it full strength. And so the labels will tell you exactly how to dilute it for the different types of cleaning that you do. And it's a really great product because one product, going back to the earlier question about do you carry all your cleaning supplies and how many do you carry? If one product will do the majority of the work, carry that one product with you. Don't be carrying a whole bunch of products if one product will do. That's a really great product for cleaning. And then when you are cleaning the doors and the high-touch areas, don't forget the banisters, like the handrails going up and down stairways. Don't forget the areas that are like the handle on your dishwasher and your oven and your microwave and your all the different handles. Don't forget the backs of the chairs where people grab the chair and pull it out. They're cooking dinner, they got food on their hands. Don't forget underneath the countertop where kids sit there and they got the jelly fingers and they like pull themselves closer to the table and you just got like peanut butter underneath the counter. Don't forget those areas either. If you are scared of cleaning supplies, and I know some people have either chemical sensitivities or they're not sure, a safe bet in many occasions is a steamer, a handheld steamer. because a handheld steamer you can use on a lot of surfaces and you're using water only. But because of the temperatures, it's going to sanitize that to about 99.9%, and it's going to be nice and clean. And that removes all of the icky, sticky fingerprints that are not sanitary in your house.
And speaking of doors, that's also a great time while you're cleaning your doors to check the weather stripping of your home, to under the doors to make sure that that's intact. See if it needs to be replaced. That's going to help keep dust and dirt out of your home, and it's just a great insulator for your home too.
Mm-hmm. We've got lots of fans of the Autobahn product, so yay for you guys! Thank you. I just love this.
Wow. Apparently we're the only ones who hadn't heard of Autobahn.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's a really fun product. They've got several different products in their lineup, from bathroom cleaners to biostain removers that remove like pet urine smells and stains that would be like, that you can even use on your clothes, like as a house cleaner. I know we have like underarm stains. We've got like the collar that goes ring around the neck. You can use them to clean with at someone's house and use it also to clean your uniforms. I mean, multi cross platform products. So yeah, I'm a big fan. We have Mo Sim says carpet bugs. How do you prevent carpet bugs? Is there a realtor that wants to touch on this?
I think that sounds like a cleaning question.
So the thing that we would do for carpet bugs, and hopefully we don't have bugs when we go to people's houses. Sometimes we do, and depending on the severity of that, it might determine whether or not we're able to take care of that ourselves, or whether we have to have a pest control company come in. One of the bugs that we see sometimes are bed bugs, and bed bugs will get inside anything that's cloth. I mean, they love fabric, and they'll come home in the pants of the house cleaner. If they get on your cleaning cloths, they can come home with your cleaning cloths. If you find bed bugs, for example, you need to stop what you're doing, alert the family like, hey, you guys have bed bugs and so do I. Both of you guys need to meet with the pest control service and get rid of that, because they're everywhere. And then you spread them and share them everywhere you go. So make sure that you don't carry those home. Make sure that if you go into a house that has that, stop cleaning, get out until that can be rectified, and then go back into finished cleaning. Many areas are real popular for bugs. I know that in North Carolina, we have June bugs and we have Japanese beetles. And if you have flowering trees, especially in the spring, you open the door and you get lots of Japanese beetles that will just like fly in your house. And you're like, whoa, how do I get rid of that? Ladybugs are real big. And so they get inside the house and they live on the ceiling, and there's really no good way to get them out. The ladybugs are not harmful, but I don't know, they seem to multiply. I know one year my mother and dad came to visit, and they live out on a farm. And so they had the door open for fresh air coming in. We got this huge ladybug infestation in our home. And I was like, where did those come from? And it was just, they were enjoying the nice, great air, you know. So
I've had a couple of issues with fruit flies in the summer months. I don't know if you guys have fruit flies in Texas, but we get them so much here. With, in the summer you have more fresh fruit and melons around, and so I've seen a lot of those.
Mo Sim said pest control informed me they were carpet bugs. I had some one time from not vacuuming due to depression. I am so sorry that you went through that. That's so sad. And I hope that you were able to resolve the bug issue. Someone says, and Hola says, I see lots of roly-poly bugs in some houses. And it depends on where you live. Those could be potato bugs. The potato bugs roll themselves up into a little ball. And those are real popular in farming areas. And so that's interesting when you see those as well. And I think those are also harmless. But boy, they're nasty, because you end up seeing them everywhere. You vacuum the floor, you go to inspect your work, you've got your flashlight, and then all of a sudden they're back, and you're like, where did they come from? I just vacuumed.
But spring is a great time to address doing a deep clean on your floors. Getting your carpets professionally cleaned if you can, getting your rugs cleaned, doing a deep clean on the grout in your bathrooms. Spring's a good time to tackle that, so it doesn't become overwhelming.
Hola says, and remember that Hola's been in the cleaning industry for 30 years. Also, clean lips of appliances inside the doors. This is so important. This is like, for example, like the shower door where you have the sliding shower glass door and then there's that little lip there that needs to be cleaned on the inside. If you got a sliding door that goes from the kitchen outside to the patio, inside that is going to have a whole bunch of gunk. In the spring, and we notice this a lot when we open our windows after the fall, we open our windows and there's a whole bunch of gunk and little bugs and all that kind of stuff in the window tracks. That all needs to be cleaned as well. So if you are going to open your windows, make sure that that's on your to-do list and that you have a really good vacuum and you have some good all-purpose cleaner and then you have the OXO deep cleaning brushes, which are my little favorite brushes that just fit in there perfectly and allow you to clean that. The one end of the small, and I don't have one with me. You guys, I feel naked. I don't have my stuff with me.
Your props.
I know. And they say when I die, they're going to bury me with a Swiffer duster on my OXO deep cleaning brushes because I have them with me at all times. Go
ahead. I'm sorry.
The one has a little tiny rubber spatula on the end, and this is specifically good for the shower doors and also the window tracks, because you can get way into the corners and pick all that stuff out with the rubber spatula end. It's very small and it's pointy on the end, and that way it doesn't scratch anything, especially if it's a customer's home. You don't want to scratch those fixtures.
Well, Ola was talking about the lips of appliances. I was showing a home or showing homes to a client, and she would open the dishwasher in every home, and everything looked so nice and clean in all the homes, but she would open it, and if the gasket on the door wasn't, she's like, oh, these people aren't really clean. Mm-hmm. It might look clean, but they're not really clean. They're not deep cleaning their home. And so people, be surprised what people will look at when you're showing your home and what people are going to focus on. But that's a good, so now I clean that all the time.
It looked like you were saying something, Erin, but I didn't hear you. Oh, your sound is gone.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Well, the good news is that me and Brooke get to do all the talking.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, I think there is so many similarities between just spring cleaning and good maintenance cleans, just so things don't get overwhelming. And I think that's why this is such an important topic for real estate, for people who are first-time home buyers or getting their homes ready to sell or cleaning. It's just so important to be able to tackle these things periodically and not get weighed down by this whole huge, oh, my house is falling apart, I have to do everything. If you keep it in manageable chunks, I think everybody's going to find it more manageable.
Well, Brooke, as a realtor, you help a lot of people in the spring with home sales. Mm-hmm. And so there is a push, and I think that's one of the terms and one of the reasons why people call it spring cleaning is right. Because there's a really big push during this time of year for people to get their homes ready to put on the market. What are you seeing when you go through people's homes that is on a checklist of things that either a house cleaner or a homeowner should have done that sometimes gets missed?
Well, there are things that are going to make a buyer think that the home is not just not clean, but maybe not well maintained, like those air filters, the vent at the bottom of a refrigerator, the vent above your cooktop, making sure that looking into the oven and making sure, there's no fire hazards there, those kinds of things. If the doors that everybody, like Regina, you were saying, as a realtor, you go in, you touch every surface in the home, door handles. Sometimes they're just gross. And it's because they're touched so often, and you've got little kids with those sticky jelly hands.
So true.
Yeah. And just like around the doors. So just those are things that people touch, they see, and in the entrance of a home. I can't tell you how many homes I'll go to show, and the the lock isn't well maintained. The key doesn't work very well. And I get it. A lot of people don't use their front door to get into their home. They're going in through a side door or garage door. But just those kinds of things, your front entrance, make sure it looks nice and fresh and inviting. Even if you're not ready to sell your home, it's going to make it more enjoyable for you. It's going to increase your sense of pride. And if somebody's looking at the home a couple doors down that's for sale, it may even help your property value at some point. So just my advice would be to look at things that are going to indicate that your home's well maintained, that you're taking care of the systems of your home, like your HVAC system, your appliances, like the refrigerator, that all of those components of it are clean, and just make your home feel welcoming and inviting.
Yeah, super basic things. I went and I showed a home. We had really excited buyers the other day. The home itself seemed to be in great condition, except all of the little tiny details. That was it. The lock on the front door was literally loose. You could move it up and down. We couldn't even get in the front door. We had to go around and unlock the back door in order to enter the home. So it was literally just loose. The little screws holding in something as simple as the toilet paper roll, it was loose. And so it was just wobbly. The screws weren't in the plates around the plugs in the wall, and they were just loose. Some light bulbs were just burnt out. Nothing expensive at all. It's literally changing a couple of little light bulbs and tightening some screws. That was it. But it was all of the little things combined that made them feel like they didn't want the home, just because there wasn't attention to the little tiny details.
I would also say, you can only make a first impression once. When somebody into the driveway, there's that whole curb appeal, and just having the driveway pressure washed, the sidewalk pressure washed. If you've lived in a house for more than a couple of years, it should be pressure washed. It gives the house,
a huge facelift. It cleans it up. It looks so nice and tidy. It makes a world of difference.
Just simple things like that. Something that seems to be missed a lot is on the AC units, the lines going into the house, the insulation. It's usually black insulation, and it will crack in the heat and slowly fall apart over the years. Needs to be replaced every 3 to 4 years, costs almost nothing. But when people see that cracking and falling off, in their mind, there's a big problem with the AC unit all of a sudden. That how old is that AC and why is it all falling apart when we're talking insulation for a few bucks on the outside? So even things as simple as that just make a world of difference. And when it comes to things like your siding, a lot of people don't think about this, especially on the sides of the house where there's a fence close or something like that. You start to get like mildew or a water line, especially if you've got a sprinkler or something that's hitting the home. Maybe you guys would have a good idea of how you could clean that. There's a lot of different types of siding, and you get kind of that mildewy thing going on, and it looks terrible. It's not really affecting the house at all, but people take one look at that and they're like, oh, this house is gross. Oh, this is terrible. Could anybody speak to that for a moment?
Well, they do have bleach sprays. There are specific bleach sprays that are designed for the outside of siding. That's good on just regular siding of homes like vinyl siding. You can also use it on brick, and then you can also use it on hardy plank. So there's some stuff that's really good that's out there. I'll be honest with you, the swimming pool chlorine is pretty much less expensive than the regular bleach products that are out there, and it does the same thing. So a lot of companies will use that in exchange. The key is that you've got to make sure that all of the plants that are around the side of the perimeter of the house are either covered or that they're not going to get splash off from doing that on the side of the house. And if that's a worry, you can wet all of the plants down, really wet them down before you spray. And that way it kind of resists the water. It's not soaking that in as like the only water it's going to get that has the bleach in it. So there are companies that will do pressure washing, and it is a great investment. Absolutely. I know we are running short on time, and I want to be sensitive to this, but we have a couple questions that have come in. And Mo Sim said there's a question for the real estate agent. So this is one for you guys. I currently own a studio apartment, no mortgage, $30K HELOC outstanding. investment property, visible and has a viable and has a mortgage. And then another note that says, I own in North Carolina. The investment property is in Charlotte, North Carolina. So, Brooke, this might be a question for you.
You own in New York. So Mo, it looks like you live in New York and the investment property is in Charlotte. And I'm not sure of the question. Is it viable as if you should?
Maybe viable to sell, or?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
This one says, unsure if I should buy a 1-bedroom and sell the studio. If I buy the 1-bedroom, I will not have as much free income until the studio sells. So it sounds like an investment question. I'll tell you what I'll do. What I can do is I can leave access to all the realtors that are on here today in the notes below this after we're done on at least our channel. And then if you guys have questions, you can get in touch with them there and they can get in touch with you back.
Yeah, great.
Love that. Yeah, we can absolutely do that. So, well, thank you guys so much for being part of this today and for all of your wealth of information. It's so fun having all of you guys and fun interacting with these questions. We hope to see you guys here next week, same time, same place, for another exciting adventure of topics to be covered.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Thank you. It was great.
Appreciate you.
Really appreciate you guys. And thank you everyone who's listening. We are happy to have the questions.